Hello and welcome. This is the Armenian language course Krunk Hayastani. Today I will introduce the obligative mood. The obligative mood, harkadrakan եղանակ, has two tenses, the future and the past. The forms of the obligative mood are built with the particle piti or pitke, meaning must or have to. This particle is combined with the corresponding forms of the optative mood and is written separately. Thus, piti gerem, chpiti gerem, piti kartam, chpiti kartam, and the future and the past. Piti gerei, chpiti gerei, piti kartai, chpiti kartai. When negative forms are built, the negative particle ch may attach either to piti, petke, or to the main verb. Compare chpiti gerem, piti chugerem, chpiti kartam, piti chugartam. This creates a subtle difference in meaning. In the first case, the modality itself is negated. I must not do. In the second case, the lexical verb is negated. I must not perform this action. Instead of the modal particle piti, Armenian sometimes uses the related modal verb petke. Yes, historically and grammatically, this is a verb with a full paradigm. Yes petkem, du petkes. I am needed, you are needed, and so on. Accordingly, the negative forms are petkchem, petkches. I am not needed, you are not needed. For example, chmoregen petche. Pastries are not needed. Or in contrastive constructions, sa chi petk, nae petk. Not this one, that one is needed. However, when this verb functions as a modal particle, its negative form becomes rather unusual. Chepetke. I would also like to point out the following. In literary Armenian, modal verbs are normally followed by the infinitive. Uzumem gerel, karogem kartal, karelie asel. That is, I want to write, I can read, it is possible to say. Not forms like anem. However, in colloquial speech, and apparently already in classical Armenian, certainly with deep dialectal roots, one also encounters constructions such as uzumemasem, karogemasem, even colloquial karomasem, where the second lexical verb appears in the optative form, just as in the obligative mood we are studying now. From the point of view of literary norm, however, petke should normally be used with the infinitive. Petke gerel, petke kartal. One must write, one must read. These constructions are completely synonymous with piti gerel, piti kartal. In this sense, piti may be regarded as a true modal particle. In Armenian grammatical terminology, a modal verb is called եղանակավորող bai, while a modal particle used to form mood constructions is called եղանակիչ. Thus, piti functions as a modal particle. Historically, however, piti itself was also a verb in classical Armenian. Pitim, pitis, piti, with the past form, piter. But today its verbal nature is no longer really felt. This is similar to tho, whose original verbal meaning is no longer perceived when it is used modally. For example, tho chosen, let them speak. So I leave the choice to you. You may use either piti, the classical Armenian third-person singular form that became a modal particle, or the modern verbal form petke. Personally, I prefer piti, which in speech may also sound like puti, or even simply ti. In the materials for this lesson, we will encounter this form in one of the hierons of the medieval poet Nahapet Kuchak, and the form pit in the song Liblabiji, sung by P-sellers. Finally, I should note that in Western Armenian, these obligative forms are used simply as the future tense. Piti gerem, I will write, while the future subjunctive forms are used with present meaning. Kagaram, I write, I am writing. Now let us examine the use of the obligative mood in modern Eastern Armenian. The future tense of the obligative mood denotes an action that must inevitably take place, that is, an action that will occur necessarily and unavoidably. In this respect, it is similar to the future tense of the indicative mood, since both express the speaker's confidence that the future action is real, inevitable, and certain to happen. Listen, for example, to the Little Cuckoo's song. The bird sings that the chicks will grow up and leave the nest.
Իմ կուկուներ, երբ պիտի դուք առնեք տևեր, թրջեք գնաք ուրախանաք աշխարհ տեսնենք խելոքանակ
The modal word piti gives this mood a shade of obligation or inevitability concerning a future action. At the same time, this sense of obligation may also imply unwillingness or annoyance on the part of the speaker. Որասեմ այբ, վերջապես խոսում է պլապուղիմ, հետո էլ պիտի ասի ասա բեն. Որասեմ բեն, հետո էլ պիտի ասի գիմ. Այբ չեմ ասում, որ միանգամից ձեռք քաշի ինձանից. Պլապուղի complains that if he says one thing, the teacher immediately demands the next thing as well. So he refuses from the very beginning. Or, for example, can you feel this dual meaning in the following remark? The speaker's irritation could be translated approximately as, "Are you going to tell me what I should do?"
Դու պատի որոշես ես ինչ պետք է անեմ։
This feeling is expressed even more vividly by the Armenian poet Parur Sevak in his poem titled Piti. Ախ, այս անverջ պիտին, վերջ ունենա պիտի. Պիտի այսպես անենք, պիտի այնպես անենք, պիտի այսպես լինի, պիտի այնպես լինի, պիտի, պիտի, պիտի. Այսպես պիտին պիտի նստի գահի վրա, իսկ մենք մնանք ոտքի, երկրպագենք նրան. Piti, we must do this. Piti, we must do that. Piti, things must be this way. Piti, things must be that way. Sevak ironically portrays a world ruled by endless obligation. In the end, this endless piti seems almost ready to climb onto the throne, while people remain standing below, worshipping it. Here, Sevak contrasts two worlds: the world of inevitable suffering, expressed through the obligative forms. You will freeze, it will hurt, there will be emptiness, it will grow dark, and the world of desired transformation, expressed through the optative, so that you may become warm, so that you may understand, so that you may recognize the light. Piti մրսես, որ տականաս ու լավ զգաս. Piti ցավի, հետո անցնի, որ հասկանաս ինչքան լավ է առանց ցավի. Մի օր լացիր ու կիմանաս ուրախն ինչ է. Ընկիր մի օր ու կիմանաս ինչ լավ բան է բարձրանալը. Պիտի լինի դատարկություն, որ լցվելուց չդատարկվես. Պիտի մտնես, որ ճանաչես ով է լույսը. Սիրիր մի օր կհասկանաս, որ չես ապրել մինչև այսօր. In this poem, the obligative mood expresses painful but necessary experience, while the optative expresses the desired result or inner transformation. In the first person, the obligative mood may express the speaker's intention or readiness to perform a future action. Listen to this example from the film The Tango of Our Childhood. The husband complains that his wife uses too much electricity during daylight hours. The heroine argues back and says that she will switch the lights on and off whenever she wants. Can you hear it? Gavarem and pitivarem sound almost synonymous here.
Լույսը վառել եմ ու պիտի վառեմ։ Ու այսօրից հետո էլ բրի վառեմ, մարեմ։ Վառե։ Կվառեմ, հենց պիտի վառեմ, հապա։
The second-person future forms of the obligative mood may express an instruction, an order, or encouragement to perform an action. Առաջ պիտի շաքարն ու ձուն լավ խառնես, հետո կարակ ավելացնես. First, you should mix the sugar and the eggs well, then add the butter. Have you already noticed two important features? First, the marker of the obligative mood, piti, may be separated from the verb by other parts of the sentence. Second, if a sentence contains more than one verb in the obligative mood, piti is usually placed only before the first one and is often not repeated afterward. The past form of the obligative mood denotes an action that was supposed to take place in the past, but either did not occur or whose realization is unknown to the speaker. Just as the future tense of the obligative mood may be synonymous with the indicative future, piti ganam, ganaluyem, so the future in the past of the obligative mood may also be synonymous with the future in the past of the indicative, piti ganai, ganaluyei. For example, Վարդուհին էլ պիտի նրանց հետ սար գնար, բայց հիվանդացավ չգնաց. Վարդուհի was also supposed to go to the mountains with them, but she fell ill and did not go. Consider also the following example. Հովանես Աբելյանը որ չլիներ, Շիրվանզադեի պիեսները ով պիտի խավար? If Hovannes Abelian had not existed, who would have performed Shirvanzade's plays? I would also like to draw your attention to one more important feature. The use of the conjunction vor together with the modal piti creates an almost opposite meaning. Instead of obligation or certainty, the construction piti vor adds a shade of assumption, probability, uncertainty, or indirect inference. Դու շատ բան ես տեսել, պիտի որ գոնե դու հասկանաս իրադրության դաժանությունը. You have seen many things in life. At least you, presumably, should understand the cruelty of the situation. Եթե ամեն ինչ լավ գնա, վաղն առավոտյան աղջկա տաքությունը պիտի որ կտրուկ իջնի. If everything goes well, the girl's temperature will probably drop sharply tomorrow morning. Ուրեմն, Վարուժանն ու Հեղինեն ի վերջո հանդիպել են, պիտի որ հանդիպեին. So, in the end, Varujan and Hegine did meet. Apparently, they were bound to meet. Ay kes hırashk, na ոնց էր հայտնվել այստեղ. Ախր պիտի որ Փարիզում լիներ. How strange. How did he end up here? He was supposedly in Paris. Նման պայմաններում, բարձագույն տրամաբանության համաձայն, պիտի որ խստացվեր շուկա մտնող մթերքի հսկողությունը. Under such conditions, according to the simplest logic, control over food products entering the market should presumably have been tightened. So these are, in general, the main features of the formation and use of the Armenian obligative mood. Thank you. Շնորհակալություն.